Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football: A Love Story and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Taking a look at some of my keys to victory for both teams in this ball game, starting with the Seattle Seahawks, it's all about matchups the second time around, and one big matchup that I'm going to be interested in watching is Cam Chancellor versus tight end Greg Olsen. Now, in the first matchup, Olsen had a great day, was a leading receiver for the Panthers, but this was Cam Chancellor's first or second game back with the lineup. Remember, he had to hold out, and if he can come back around the second time and do well in the pass defense department versus Olsen, it goes a long way in taking away Cam Newton's #1 target in the passing game. You look at another matchup between Russell Wilson and those Panthers linebackers, probably the most athletic set of linebackers from strong side to weak side in the NFL. And if they can keep Russell Wilson playing within the pocket and not allow him to break contain and get outside and extend the plays with his legs, it goes a long way in shutting down what Seattle wants to do offensively. So if you're Russell Wilson, you have to find ways to manipulate that second level with your legs, with your eyes, and ultimately with your arm. And third down defense must remain stellar for Seattle. They have to find ways to get off the field on third downs. They've done a great job in doing so last week versus Minnesota, and throughout the course of the season, the latter part of the season, they've gotten off the field very well. If they can continue to get off the field and force these 3-and-outs or quick 3-and-outs versus this Panthers offense, they have a chance to win. Moving over to the Carolina Panthers in this ball game, I think their passing game can have some success in the intermediate area if they're working the numbers to the hash marks versus this cover 3 defense. When you look at those bang 8s, those skinny posts, those deep in routes, no one can fit a football better over the intermediate part of the field than Cam Newton. If they're working that offense, that passing game from the numbers to the hash marks, I think they can have a ton of success throwing the football. And the biggest matchup advantage I think that favors Carolina is their defensive line going against the Seahawks offensive front, especially on the right side of that Seahawks offensive line. I think this is a situation where Carolina can really dictate what Seattle does offensively by making them left-handed. They can take away the right side of that offensive line. If they're able to do that up front and keep Russell Wilson restless in the pocket, it's a win for Carolina easily. And finally, early on in the ball game, I would push the tempo to shake off that bye week rust. A lot of times in these playoffs, the team that has the bye week tends to start the game slow. And in this game against Seattle, who has a very good defense, and their defense has played well down the stretch, you can't avoid a slow start. So to get yourself going early, you want to play fast. That wakes you up as a football player. And if they can push the tempo early to shake off that rust and hit the ground running, Carolina has a great chance to come away victorious. I like Seattle in this ball game. These two teams are evenly matched all the way down to how well they play special teams. They have two outstanding quarterbacks. Both are in the MVP discussion. I think this will be a 17-14 type game with Seattle winning. The difference in this matchup the second time around will be how well Cam Chancellor can slow down Greg Olsen, the tight end for Carolina. If he's able to do that, it takes away a big portion of the Panthers' passing game. And I just think right now, especially over the last 5 weeks of the season, including last week in the wild card round, this Seahawks defense is just as good as Carolina's defense. I think, again, you'll see a low-scoring game, and it's a shame that one of these teams has to lose. I wish this could be the Super Bowl because, in my opinion, these are two of the best teams in football right now, but I will go with Seattle moving on to the NFC Championship game.
All right, so in the NFC playoffs, we have the Seahawks going to Carolina to face the Panthers. My X factor for the Panthers is going to be Greg Olsen. You look at what teams have been able to do against the Seahawks. One way that they found success in the passing game is using the tight end, a tight end that could create matchup problems. This is one area where the Panthers can attack the Seattle Seahawks. Is what they did the last time they played for the game-winning touchdown. Greg Olsen is a matchup problem for the Seattle Seahawks. He is someone who could beat Cam Chancellor in one-on-one situations, so I expect them to exploit that matchup. looking at the other side of things for the Seattle Seahawks, my X factor for them is going to be Tyler Lockett. The reason being, I think Josh Norman and Doug Baldwin, that's going to be a very emotional, a physical matchup. That is a key matchup, a bonus matchup for you this week, but that's going to be one that I think they're going to cancel each other out. Therefore, you have Tyler Lockett, a guy who is able to uncover very well when Russell Wilson escapes the pocket or even when he's moving within the pocket. They get to that QB scramble drill, and he's able to uncover himself and allow Russell Wilson to make big plays down the field. You saw it last week. I think that he's the X factor for the Seattle Seahawks. At the end of the day, I think the Panthers are going to win this game. This is going to be a tough game, probably the game of the week, to be honest with you. I have the Panthers winning a close one at home, 20-17.
This should be a great game, and I will make a bold prediction. The winner of this divisional round game will guaranteed win the Super Bowl, as Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks play against Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Now for Seattle, they could get nothing going on offense last week. I think it had to do with the weather, but it also had to do with the absence of the tight end that's been doing things for them in the wake of the Jimmy Graham injury. Luke Wilson, he'll actually be healthy and in this game, and they should get back Marshawn Lynch. He practiced today, should be able to be available, and even if he's not the beast mode of old, beast mode of any sort in any capacity is still helpful to the Seattle team. Now, as far as the Carolina Panthers, we look and we say, hey, what haven't they done well this year? They have the most likely MVP candidate. They have a defense that has been stout this year, and they're 15-1. Part of that, and part of the thing that's come on late in the season, a guy who couldn't catch anything earlier in the season, DEVIN Funches, is actually starting to step up and play some solid football. It looked like kind of a bust early, but I think that he has actually started to be productive, and he could play a role in this particular matchup with his size. As far as the guy who's been helpful for the Seattle Seahawks from this rookie class, I actually have two. Frank Clark has actually played better than I thought he would on the defensive line. And then a guy who was one of my 3 receivers that were underdrafted, Tyler Lockett. This guy didn't get the pub that he deserved, and he's a heck of a football player and has been great for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, where they need to go in the 2016 upcoming draft, a very specialized case for Carolina in the first round if this guy declares or when he declares. I think that Derrick Henry specifically would be a perfect fit for Carolina. They need health in that backfield, and he picks up blitzes better than any running back I've seen in recent history. But in general, they need to get more help on the offensive line for Cam Newton and strengthen that portion of the team. Same thing for Seattle. I have not seen them bring in offensive linemen for Russell Wilson in the early rounds recently. Russell Okung seems to be the last high-round pick for that offensive line, and that was years ago. So, the outcome of this game, drum roll please, I have Seattle pulling this one off. I just think that they're on a mission to get back and prove that they are the class of the NFL. They're going to win this one on the road 24-20.